All right, you've gotten to now part 8 of the series. You pulled your credit after you built your file, after you checked all your pages inside of the ERLA to make sure no data was missing, and you're ready to shop your rate before you pull your AUS. The reason I want you to do this before you pull your AUS is because if your ratios change after you put your interest rate in there, then you pulled an AUS findings for no reason, right? So let's not waste any effort here. Let's make sure our file is perfect before we move on to the final step, which is AUS approval or denial. And that will tell us whether or not we have a real loan and whether or not we're going to be able to issue this pre approval letter. Because again, if you don't run AUS, you don't have a pre approval. Okay. Because if your findings come back unfavorable and you thought you were going to be good, you might as well not written the pre-approval at all. Okay. So we're going to go up here to the lock button. We're going to go to product and pricing. It's going to do a little bit of thinking. And again, just like credit, it's going to open up a secondary window. You're going to click optimal boo, and it's the only one you can pick. And you're going to click submit. This is a really cool system in here. I'm going to pivot on the conventional side right now, just because it's going to give you a lot of features in here that you're going to want to use. FHA doesn't need these features. VA USDA doesn't need these features, but conventional can benefit greatly from having this. So you can see I've set myself up with a 97% LTV, conforming home ready, home possible style loan here. Okay. So the couple things I want to show you is what happens if you put in the information and it doesn't quantify a interest rate, right? The first thing you guys do is usually panic, call me and go, hey, I can't get a rate to pull. Our rates live right now. And yes, rates are always live, even at 11 o'clock on Sunday night, you can get an interest rate to pull up. It will say expired, and you probably won't be able to lock it, but it should show you a rate. If you get to this screen, you've done something wrong, right? And this is letting you know you have ineligible products. And that's why you see all these and you have no rate next to them because you've input the data incorrectly somehow into Encompass. So you want to come over here to modify your search. And this is where I harp on everybody. Knowing your agencies, knowing your allowables and your restrictions is going to help you out significantly when you get to this stage. If you don't know what you're doing when you get here, it's going to make it very difficult to price a loan. So you're going to come and you're going to give yourself a good credit score. So we're going to do 720 here. Now, if we're doing a 97%, we need to do either an affordable or we need to be a first time home buyer. So if I come here and I check first time home buyer, it's now going to give me a rate. But if I wasn't a first time home buyer and I still wanted to do a 97% loan, you have to come over here to standard and click affordable. And the reason you need to is because there's only two people under the conventional qualification that are allowed to do a 97% LTV loan: first time home buyers and affordable clientele. Okay. If you don't know what affordable is, you need to get some information on that. Reach out to Andrew and I, and we'll get you the education you need to understand how to make affordable work. But now that I've clicked first time home buyer, it will self satisfy for the 97% LTV. I don't even have to click affordable here, and I'll show you that. And boom, like I said, there's rates right there. And this is what it looks like when it quantifies a rate. Okay. And this is again just making up some data. So please don't think these are standard interest rates or, oh my gosh, I got to offer 6% to my clients. That'll never work. These are not your rates. This is demonstrational purposes only. And the compensation included in these rates is for demonstrational purposes only. This is not a real build out. Okay. So when you're looking at your rate, you'll just click on your investor up here at the top. It's probably going to be your best price investor. We don't do best pricing, you do traditional pricing. Best pricing is probably going to give you a window of best priced investors, but maybe not your best investor. Okay. So go to traditional pricing, stay in there, click on the first investor, and you'll see your spread. Now, this is where it kind of gets convoluted a little bit. So stay with me. 100 is par. 100.00 means it doesn't cost the borrower any money, but they don't get any money in return, right? That's an even rate. At 99, you're going to have a little bit of origination. At 100 plus whatever, you're going to have a little bit of credit. Okay. Your job is to try to find the rate that is going to be par for your customer or whatever you and your customer would like to do for the rate. If they need help offsetting closing costs, come down here and get these higher rates here. If they need a low rate for cash flow or for monthly payment or qualification, come up here and get one of these 98 rates. Understand that there is a limit to what you can buy a rate down. You can't just come here to 5.25 and charge the borrower 5 3/8, right? That is not going to fly. That's going to be considered a high cost loan. So when you're pricing and you're making sure that your rates and all those work, make sure you're staying within your parameter of trying to be plus or minus 100 as little as you possibly can. Now, you have found a rate and you're like, but Duke, this is a conventional loan. I need to know what mortgage insurance is going to cost me. Of course you are. So the beautiful thing about doing OB is you can click here. Let's say, for instance, we're going to do par here and par looks like 6.625, right? So now we're going to click get MI. It's going to pop up this secondary window. You're going to put in here whether you're a first time home buyer, whether you're multiple borrowers, any kind of situation you have, and come down here to AUS and do either approved, eligible, or refer, whichever file you're getting. If you're getting, let me put it this way: if you're getting a refer file, you shouldn't even be in conventional. Okay, pause what you're doing. You're in the wrong place. You need to go over to FHA because we don't do refer conventional files right now. So you're coming down and you're going to see whether we're going to be doing an affordable loan or a standard loan. Again, this is for those people that don't make more money than they need to qualify for their particular zip code, so they're in an affordable bracket. So we're just going to do standard for right now, and then we're going to order quote, and it's going to give you all the mortgage and company investors that would have an appetite for your particular borrower under the criteria that you've submitted. And then you're just going to simply take these numbers and input them for your mortgage insurance. So you'll see here under Radian, it's 0.66. Now that's high. I'll be very honest with you. If you pull mortgage insurance and it's over 0.55, stop. You may have a better loan with FHA than you do conventional as far as a monthly payment goes. Now, your closing costs are still going to be more expensive for FHA than for conventional across the board. But, but if you're looking at monthly payment and the mortgage insurance is a pain point on this particular borrower, FHA would be cheaper, right? Because FHA caps at 0.55. This is 0.66. So you're automatically more expensive for the mortgage insurance under conventional. Now, you can do a single premium if the investor will allow it. Lender paid is not an option at this point, but you can see you can shop it and then you can do split and buy downs if it's available at that investor. But usually you're going to be looking at monthly or single premium. Those are the two that you're going to be looking at. And then you're just going to print results or screenshot this and put this in the file so that your processor knows what you were looking at. Now, like I said, I want to go back to this. I want to modify the search. And let's say they're not first time home buyers, they're just affordable. Same rules apply, but I want you to note this, right? I want you to see this. We're over income, right? For the AMI, area medium income. Okay. So something's wrong here that make my borrower is making too much money for the zip code that I'm trying to put them in. So I'm going to come and I'm going to see here the qualifying income come in at $9,000 per month. So affordable is not going to work for my customer. At this point, go back into your file, confirm your income, and pull through OB one more time. I wanted you to see this, that if you are over income for the area, you're not going to get an affordable rate. Okay. So you do have to make sure you check the income before you assume home ready, home possible is a loan option for your particular customer. And then, like we said, once you know your MI, you're going to come back into OB, close this window, because again, we're just quoting for pre-qualification. We're not locking anything for anybody today. You're going to go down. And then we figured out 6.625 or 6.25 was the rate for this borrower, and our MI is 0.66. So we got to make sure that we put that in there, and now that will reflect accordingly. And you can see it went up $40 a month for MI between the FHA and conventional. If you've got a payment sensitive borrower, FHA may make more sense. You just got to take a look at the totality, especially when you get under a 700 credit score. it could really go either way. It really can. Just depends on how favorable the appetite is. And really, it's 720. It's when it really becomes quantifiable for FHA versus conventional. So take a look at it each time, make sure. But this is a quick walkthrough on OB. Went a little bit longer than I meant to, but there was a lot to cover in this one. If you have any questions, if you get hung up, if you have any current concerns, Andrew and I are always standing by to help you. Talk to you soon.